Next up is the Pipeline Safety Trust's newest staff member. We're throwing her to the wolves this morning. Yeah, right after Jim. Her name's Samya Lutz. She joined us early last spring, but she went full-time in June. She was a county employee. She's got a strong background in planning, so we're also assigning her the PIPA thing as each of us shuffle that off to the next staff person that comes on. She has a wealth of knowledge in that. I kind of stole her from county. She actually came looking for a job. I didn't steal her from county if the county executive is watching. But we're glad to have her on board. She's going to talk a little bit about some of the data holes in the public information holes that the public contacts us about, and some of our transparency efforts that we've done, particularly looking at state regulators. Samya.
Thank you, Carl. So I'm going to talk about a couple of projects that I'm involved in right now having to do with this topic of public awareness. The first is a transparency review we do of state pipeline safety program agencies. And the second are some of our efforts to fill information holes with support of a recent PHMSA technical assistance grant. So page 11 of our newsletter, which is included in your packet, contains the results of our third annual transparency review. It's also posted on our website. And we've just completed this, and I'm going to go through a few details of how we do this every year. So we approach this process as if we were interested citizens simply looking for information about a pipeline or a pipeline operator in our area. I've included an excerpt here from the way that we go about this process. We simply go through a list of 10 questions, and each of them offer 3 points. And there are a couple of additional bonus points that are possible. And the questions represent what we feel is important for the public to be able to access. So there are things like simply being able to find the Pipeline Safety Agency website, contact for agency staff, and so on and so forth. So I'll go through a brief example using the Arkansas Public Service Commission. Because they've consistently been at the top of our list, and they're also very responsive to our input. But I first want to give a shout out to Pennsylvania and the PUC, because if we did have an award for most improved transparency, they would receive it. They've really jumped quite a bit in this past year. So thank you, Pennsylvania. So most of these things are really not difficult to provide to the public. Some of them are simply available on PHMSA's website and can be provided through a very easy link, such as the state-specific enforcement information that PHMSA maintains. So I've pulled out a couple questions just to demonstrate how we do this. Simply searching for the term Arkansas Public Safety. Bingo, they come up number 1 on the Google list, but not so much on the state website. There are 0 results there. And looking for what they regulate. We like to see both what they do and don't regulate, and Arkansas has a very clear description there. And then simply a link, an easy-to-find link to the Pipeline Safety National Pipeline Mapping System there. So we hope to see the positive trend that we have seen continue. The average is going up slightly over the years, but not a whole lot. So out of 32 points, the average is about 11 now. But moving on to one of our efforts to fill information holes, we frequently are asked by folks in local government and concerned citizens about what part they can play in relation to different types of pipelines, whether they're existing or proposed pipelines. So in an effort to fill this gap, We applied for and we're pleased to be awarded the PHMSA Technical Assistance Grant, and it's going to allow us to update our existing landowner guide to pipelines, which we produced a couple years ago, and then produce a new local government guide to pipelines that'll be readily available and distributed. Like I said, we're increasingly getting calls from these folks because they find it difficult to access and compile the type of information they need. So there's been great work by NABSR, the National Association of Pipeline Safety Representatives, by PHMSA and others to compile regulatory authority information, variations in states who've gone above and beyond what is required, as well as variation in one call and enforcement statistics. We plan to build on this, but also highlight additional options for states and local government to consider, including the things I have listed here. Among other things, we will include variation in terms of planning near existing pipelines and look at implementation of some of the PIPA recommendations. We'll look at options for siting near new pipelines, look at different approaches to spill response planning and emergency management, disclosure laws, and what states have opted to have citizen committees. So obviously with 50 states, there's a huge variation. We'll be describing the significant rules and case studies from a number of states and plan to highlight ones that will hopefully be useful to other communities. We've posted information about this project on our website, and we'd love to hear suggestions from you about other things that should be included or places, jurisdictions you think are doing a great job and would be useful for us to highlight. Thank you.